also feels that she's pushed to teach content because children have to go through tests and because there is a curriculum that she has to cover. But she doesn't believe that asking children to complete tests really assessing their way of thinking. External pressures upon her to teach towards particular content and not having the freedom to allow children to work and develop their scientific way of thinking and learn through that the content of science and become what she calls really scientifically literate. She always thinks about what is the best way of helping children learn. She does give them many opportunities to get engaged in practical activities. She really believes that this is really, really important for children to become very genuinely curious. I think she uses this phrase. And talking about practical activities, what she says is involvement in practical activities is not superficial messing about. It is real play, like small children do when they are completely involved in what they are doing. So it is really important for her that they are offered opportunities, and they do. In her classroom, there are many practical activities that are going on because she wants children to think really about, you know, how they can explain a particular scientific phenomenon. She doesn't expect them to discover a scientific concept. For her, these practical activities it's a jumping off point.
Because in your paper, I think you talked about learning by doing versus learning by hearing about.
Yes. They do lots of practice, but the practical activities have got a particular purpose, is to get them really curious about the phenomenon, to encourage them to question their own understanding. And when she feels that they are ready, then she can make links between their developing understanding, their curiosity, their interest, and a specific scientific concept like friction. You know, I did say this very clearly. Doesn't build up a nice picture. A nice neat jigsaw that's in my mind, she wrote in her diary. Because children forget, misunderstand, but they gradually build one thing on another until things come together for them. Science learning can happen independently from the session. It occurs when the moment is right and the interest is there. She's very interested in children's ideas. She's very interested in encouraging them to get on with practical activities and become really curious about this. And at the same time, she wants them to be able to develop some independence to carry out practical activities that interest them. Well, it is a kind of control, and also she is concerned that she wants all children in her classroom to develop a scientific understanding, according, of course, to their own capacities and their own level of development, if we can use this word, and so on. She did say a couple of times, I think that my learning objectives for them are important, and I suppose I feel that their learning objectives are secondary. It's not that, you know, she doesn't want them to be following their own interests. She also said that a classroom where all children are doing the same practical activities, exploring the same question or investigating the same hypothesis is pointless. She also believes that they need to become really curious about science. And in order to become really curious about science, then you have to follow and explore your own interests. So you really need this opportunity. And of course, it's not easy then to draw and use all of their ideas and all of their interests. But she thinks that at least she can manage to use some of them. And they knew this. She didn't have to explain this to them. They knew that they were allowed to modify the practical activity that she will set for them. Others who didn't feel very confident, they would work to what she offered them, to the majority of the classroom, and then she will spend time with children who needed her support, maybe more time, but also some time with children who had modified the task. And were very comfortable and very confident to either follow their ideas or to stay with the specific task that Coral had set up for them, and ask many questions. She gives an example again from the session on gravity and resistance. I think the aim of the session was for children to begin to develop their understanding of the relation between air resistance, surface area, density and rate of fall. And she asked them to design their own parachutes using their own criteria. But two children who were working together for a long time, for some time, they seemed to begin to be thinking of the effect of shape of the falling of parachutes. But she argued that even if she had known of it, she wouldn't have used it, because she did not believe that shape was a fruitful concept for the majority of the children in the classroom. Many considerations. She wants children to feel happy and confident. She wants all children to develop their interests. You could see that these children were doing very well making round parachutes. Yes, they didn't have the opportunity to discuss this in the whole classroom, but the discussion was quite interesting and helped many children to make links among these complex concepts. There was a lot going on, but many decisions that she had to make, some of them on the spot, others later on, when she was planning for the next session.
Yeah.
A very important element was the resourcefulness of her teaching. She was very eclectic. She was able to draw on various views, if you can say, about learning, about teaching as well, when she thought it was appropriate. She was extremely resourceful. She will stop and share her uncertainties about her science knowledge, or her surprise about the results of a practical test with the children and trying to find a way forward. She was also very interested in producing analogies when she thought these analogies would be appropriate for the children, and very, very reflective. She was very aware of the dilemmas that she faces in her teaching. It's like a bricklayer. A bricklayer will pick up whatever is available in order to achieve a task. And I thought that because of the resourcefulness of her practice, whatever was handy, whatever was useful, then she will use it in order to further children's learning at that particular moment. But she was very, very skillful, I think, at using resources in her teaching. That's why I thought the bricolaire was a good metaphor maybe, to capture the eclectic character of her teaching as well. The fact that educational research is presented as the remedy to good practice, I think we have really to be very careful about this claim. I don't think teaching can be remedied by one particular recommendation by one particular orientation, because it's so eclectic, because it's practical in nature.